Good afternoon. My name is Abdulmalik and I'm your today's speaking mock test examiner. What's your name?
My name is Firdaus.
All right, Firdaus, let's get started. I'd like to get started by talking about your hometown. Can you please describe your hometown a little?
Sure. I'm from a town called Bukhara. It's one of the regions of Uzbekistan. It's most popular for its history. A lot of tourists every year visit this city to get to know a bit about its very rich history.
Mm-hmm. What is your town well known for?
For its food, definitely. We're popular for olat samsa, Ushbu shashlik. They're very national dishes that a lot of people are drawn from many other cities to taste this cuisine.
Is that a big city or a small town?
I would say it's basically big, but technically small, because the area is actually big, but it's surrounded by a big desert. So the habitable part of the city is actually very confined.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever lived in a countryside?
Yeah, sure. That Bukhara city I'm talking about is basically, for the most part, it's a countryside. There are houses. You don't see a lot of apartment blocks. Unless you live in the very center of the city. So I lived most part of my life in the countryside, actually.
What are the differences between living in the city and in a countryside?
I think it comes down to the amenities, because for recreation, education, and healthcare, you would find most number of opportunities in the city. You can call an ambulance and in 2 minutes, you're going to find yourself in an emergency room. On the other hand, in the countryside, it may take hours. On the other hand, in addition to that, I would say education is a big factor here, because you don't get to see a lot of private schools and universities there. But in the city, you can even find international top-class world universities and many branches of them.
Let's talk about patience. Did you used to be more patient or less patient than you are now?
All right, then I would say I used to be very much less patient in the past. I was young, a teenager, and then I used to be very angry, aggressive about very little things. And then over years, I've mastered the art of being careless and not losing my temper over minor things. So pretty much, I think I've grown.
Is there anything you still become impatient about?
Yeah, that's definitely my students. Because if they don't do homework, I get very furious about that, because I know that homework is the biggest part of education. It talks the loudest about your discipline and about your future results. And when students just, inclined to be lazy, I cannot stand that.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to a little different topic. Do you always take your mobile phone with you when going out?
Oh, yeah, that makes me think, actually. Not always. I am, first of all, not a social media user, and I don't make and receive a lot of phone calls. So I wouldn't say taking my mobile phone with me is the biggest priority when I'm heading out. But mostly, yes, because I may have to make some transactions on my banking apps. But if I don't have to pay, call, or text anyone outside, I'm just giving a quick visit to the nearby convenience store, I don't think I should take my phone with me.
All right. Do you bring food or snacks with you when going out?
Yes, definitely. It has to do with my medical condition. Like, I have this digestive issues and some stomach-related problems. That's why I need to always carry adequate amount of food with me, because I cannot go hungry, to be simple, If I'm hungry, I'm going to be in a killing pain. So I need to have some snacks like cashews and other kind of healthy snacks like nuts with me. So whenever I go hungry, I'm going to just take a bite.
All right. How often do you use cash?
Every day, I'd say, because although I pay my taxi fees on my banking mobile app, I pay for other things by cash, like in the shop, for example. And no matter how developed Uzbekistan looks, I think there are still places where they do not take credit cards or plastic cards. You need to make the conventional form of payment using paper money.
All right. All right, Firdaus, then we're going to move on to part 2, where I will give you a topic for you that you have to talk about 1 to 2 minutes. And don't worry if I stop you in the end. And before that, you are given 1 minute to take notes about what you're going to say. All right, so I would like you to make sure that you describe an important decision made with the help of other people. So you have 1 minute, and here's your paper and a pencil. Please start preparing now. Ready?
Yes.
Please start speaking now.
All right. Talking about this topic initially looked very hard to me because we humans make a lot of important decisions throughout our lives. But the one I would say in particular very influential on my personal life would be my choice of relocation from my own hometown to the capital city, Tashkent of Uzbekistan. And then many people actually helped me to reach this decision because I've lived like 6 or 7 years in Bukhara. I was a student and I actually managed to open my very own private business. I had an education center teaching English to students. Even though I was doing very good in business and in social life, I was never satisfied with the settings, with the environment. I always wanted something better. I wanted to be in a bigger industry, I mean, not just a couple of people admiring me, but people that are very successful that I'm going to look up to. And then my dean in the university and several of my friends and then my parents used to always suggest me that, like, rather than being the big shark in a small pond, I think it's even better to be a fish of the big ocean and then go try your luck. Maybe you have what it takes to be successful in a bigger environment as well. And then I decided to change my place of residence. And then I came to Tashkent, although it was very hard in the beginning because I couldn't make a living and I didn't earn as much as I used to back in Bukhara because I used to make like thousands of dollars a month easily. But after coming here, I started from the scratch. But eventually, I'm very grateful for people who were there for me when I needed this advice the most. I mean, I think they gave me the best direction into what I truly wanted. Maybe I didn't realize it well, but that's what eventually was something I needed to hear, really. They told me that you're going to do much better than here because the stakes are higher and the chances are more and opportunities are way more pleasant if you go to the capital city of the country. And then I finally made that decision.
Thank you. All right, so we've been talking about a decision that you have made yourself with the help of others. Now, I'd like to ask 1 or 2 more general questions related to that. First, what kind of decisions do you think are meaningful?
In a usual sense, I think marriage, buying your first car or an apartment is a very important decision, and it holds much of the meaning that is relatable to people's lives. For example, buying an apartment or a car is spending your yearly savings on a particular item. So that should be very sensible for a person. And additionally, marriage is another very important thing because in my culture, people don't get married and divorced easily. I mean, you kind of make a decision for your entire life. So as long as you're deciding for good, I think that has to be a very meaningful choice for you.
All right. What important decisions should be made by teenagers themselves?
Several, I would say. But one I'm going to describe now is university, choosing right university and correct major that you perform the best. I mean, you're going to enjoy your heyday only when you go for the right direction. Maybe you're talented at art, you're talented in mathematics or whatever, and being able to find that direction is what matters the most. And many teenagers, I think, is in the spotlight when it comes to this decision because this kind of determines their future life.
All right. Why are some people unwilling to make quick decisions?
Because they're obviously smart. Because smart people do not make reckless, snap decisions. Because you're not going to be able to think well enough. You're not going to make a well-informed decision. You're not going to have the chance to think about this decision thoroughly if you make it too quickly. I think smart people always take their time. I mean, I see it in podcasts, right? All these successful and smart people never speak fast. They never just blurt out the answer right after they hear the question. They think about it. You probably know that video of Elon Musk, like taking like almost a minute thinking about the answer before he talked about Twitter or something. So that's what people do. The more you think, the better you compose the answer.
What do you think about the emergency cases when you have to make decisions? Do you think you still have to take time when emergent situations?
Definitely not. I think that's a totally different business because by its name, it's an emergency situation. You have to be alert. You have to be very awake and focused on the particular matter. And then you got to be able to make your mind in a split second. Maybe it's a very important health-related emergency, or maybe it's something about, a quick catching taxi quickly. I mean, you have to decide whether you want to take that cab or not, or whether you have to take that person to the emergency room or to the hospital. So in those cases, people have to make a quick decision, but I think that goes instinctual in that part, because you're going to do whatever your instincts tell you. You follow your guts.
All right. How do you know that decision you made is the correct one?
You never know. I mean, that's what makes life alive, I think. I mean, if people knew what kind of decisions they're making and their consequences, I think people never be...
So you mean people never know when they make a good decision?
No, to my knowledge, no. Because you never know the aftermath. And then this is what makes you a human. If you know what exact consequences will arise after making certain decisions, I don't think we will have to forget the word surprise then. You're never going to be amazed by how little things or important things turned out to be something totally different. I mean,
then why people try to take a lot of time to make good decisions if they don't know how good decision is?
Yeah, that's very obvious, actually. So I'm going to break it down to you. Not knowing what's going to happen after taking a decision doesn't change the fact that you should think about it before making it. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen in the end, right? But it doesn't mean you have to do whatever you want. It doesn't mean you have to just go walk blindly. You have to try to do best, but still you don't know what's going to happen in the end. But it doesn't mean you should be reckless. You have to be not intelligent anymore. You have to try to do your best, hope for the best, but expect the least.
But do you know when your decision is bad? Do you think it's possible to know that the decision that you have just made is bad?
No, you will never know, I think.
Are you sure?
Yes. I mean, different lives, different strokes, different folks, right? I mean, you never know. But to me, in my life, personally speaking, I never know, because every decision I make using the intellect I have developed over the years I've been living in this world, I think I'm making the best decision at that time. Maybe later I'm going to expand my knowledge, I'm going to become more experienced, and then it's going to turn out to be a bad decision. Like, for example, I look back 5 years ago and some decisions I made look pretty stupid to me now, because now I'm a different person. I have grown, I have developed. But at that time, I mean, we have to think about the moment. In the moment, when you're caught in the moment, you're going to think that's the best course of action to take.
Okay. Are there any consequences that people face when they make bad decisions?
Yes, you will always face the music, no matter what kind of decision you make. Maybe that's the best. Maybe
Can you give examples?
Yeah, sure. Some decisions will turn out to be a nightmare in the end. For example, marrying the wrong person. I hear such kind of stories from people all the time. Or maybe choosing the wrong major. Maybe you're not good at art after all. You were just interested in singing because you heard certain people.
So that means people understand that it's a bad decision, for example, when they marry the wrong person, right?
Yes, so after some time. As I said, you're going to reach that level of realization, and then it hits you that this was wrong after all. Okay. But you never know at the exact point, All
right, thank you very much. That's the end of the speaking test. And well, from this experience of the mock test, I can conclude that you have a pretty good level of English. Not just good, but more than that. We can say that for the fluency and coherence, you received 9 band score. For Lexical Resource, amazing, 9 band score. You have a wide range of vocabulary, and you know what phrases and what words to use where exactly and when. So 9 for Lexical Resource, as I mentioned. As for grammar, I believe that in order to reach 9 level, there has to be a little bit of more effort on building coherent structures in grammar. So I believe that for this part only, you're going to get 8 band score. As for the last section, that's pronunciation, impressive pronunciation, no mistakes, everything is perfect. So you would receive 9 band score for pronunciation. Overall, I believe that it's a little less than 9 band score, but still, that's an impressive, great job. Very strong example of 8.5 band score from the speaking test. Thank you very much. Impressive speaking once again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I had you for lunch. Okay. I think if I had come to you as not as an assessor, but as a person who would give you the right feedback, I believe that to hit that 9 band score, examiners do something like a little bit of they tried to trick you, right? I believe that everyone who watched this video would see this, that at the end of the speaking mock test, I was trying to pressurize a little bit by giving you counter questions, right, on your ideas. And that's when you still did not lose yourself. But I believe that, for example, those parts when you said, you never know when you make a bad decision, right? But then I again gave you this question: when do you see the consequences of a bad decision? When? So I think sometimes in order to get that 9-band level, you need to exactly give the idea that probably the examiner has got in the brain. Like, for example, I would know that it's a bad decision once I face the consequences. For example, marrying the wrong person or doing something else. So I think language-wise, you don't have huge issues, but when a little tense questions are coming up, I think that's when your structure is a little bit losing its path, and you would have needed a little more solid structure. And as well as that, the ideas had to be a little better, because it's still, after all, speaking tests is when we're talking about 9-band level, it still requires a little bit of extra effort in terms of giving that very coherent structural answer, and insisting on your own idea, but still making sure that you consider the opinions of the examiner also. I think that's a little bit of part of the discussion, right? If you try a little harder, I think if you win that thing, I think you can easily seal 9-band score.
Thank you.
Welcome.